Folks, welcome into the right side of campus. It is the 19th of September, 2017, Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. No better time or place to be than right here, right now with the right side of campus. I'll be your host today, Donnie Rightside, with my partner in crime, the big man on campus, Jeff Nadeau. A lot of stuff to go over. We find ourselves in that midweek groove where still going to wrap up some football with the Monday Night Football games. You got Major League Baseball, which, we might brush over here, but it's clearly football season. College football, NFL is going to take center stage. Only have to go 2 days, Jeff, till we get some more football on our plate. A lot to go over. We'll have some fun today, Jeff. How about it?
Yep. Tuesday afternoon, Donnie, break it into the new week. A lot going on. We'll get to the Thursday and Friday college football, little NFL as well. We guess we have to talk about that game. Thursday night games, not exactly what we want to talk about. But again, I mean, that's what we got to do in this business. And I'm not saying I don't want to talk about football. I love football, but the game looks pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, the Thursday night's always going to be like that. It's going to be a bad football product. Teams aren't prepared, or they're not in their, I don't want to say right frame of mind, but you have no time to prep. You're going to be beat up with a lot of injuries, and that's just what you're going to get. And then, again, they don't really put showcase games on Thursday night. It's more for the teams that don't get the showcase. The Sunday night game, the Monday night game, you get the Thursday night game. So there we end up saying, where can we put the Rams in San Francisco? Two horrid franchises and football teams. Throw them on Thursday night. People will watch. And they're right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess every team has to do it, and you got to get some of these teams out of the way. But, I mean, I guess it'll be interesting for, I guess they're teams that are kind of poor. So, we'll break it down, see where there's that edge.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. But last night, Monday Night Football just went. I mean, hey, look, man, if you've watched me and Jeff over the past 8 months, there's not really any homerism. We're Eagles fans, correct. But from day one, that as soon as somebody mentioned football to us, we pounded on Eli Manning as being a trash can at quarterback and the Giants' offensive line of being one of the worst I've ever seen. And through 2 games, Jeff, they haven't even technically, Jeff, faced a good pass rush yet. This Sunday, there will be a funeral taking place in South Philadelphia, not for mob guys, not for any of the wise guys down there. No funeral processions where we're going to have 16, 17 car funeral. There's going to be a couple buses that pull in, and I don't think very many bodies are going to be able to be taken out after this one, Jeff.
Yeah, Mr. Cardo better get the caskets ready over at Cardo Funeral Home. Look, I mean, there's been a lot of mob guy murders in Philadelphia throughout the years. Mm-hmm. Wise guys, regular guys, whatever. They call it Philadelphia. There might be a murder Monday or Sunday afternoon down at the Link. Look, I mean, I don't mean to be the guy, and Donnie will be the guys to say this, but
yeah,
I don't think it's just no surprise to you and me. I thought we were pretty eloquent in saying that we didn't think this defense would be any good or this offense would be any good, and they aren't. Eli Manning he has no time to throw the football, and when he does, it's just dink and dunk crap. They're drops like crazy. I mean, Brandon Marshall, what was that signing? I mean, and again, I like what John Gruden said. What is his part in this offense? I mean, they don't really target him. They don't really throw the ball downfield to him. And when they do, he drops it. Odell Beckham, 4 catches. We had to figure he wouldn't be much of a factor. All he really did was push the line up a little bit. You got an extra half point out of it if you like Detroit last night. They have no run game. And their offensive line is an abomination. But they're an abomination of a franchise right now. I mean, you're down 14 points with 7 minutes left. You're still running the football. There's no urgency. There's no, and this goes back to Ben McAdoo possibly being the most inept coach in the league at not knowing what to do. Then after the game, he's blaming the offense for the ill will and them not playing well. And he reminds me a lot of Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's a lot more competent to me, at least, but McAdoo really seems like he has no idea what he's doing. And he uses that big play card in front of him to make it look like he does. But at the end of the day, their offense is stale. It's boring. And you can't really run an offense if you don't have an offensive line. And they don't. The Giants are a bad football team right now. I think they're overrated on defense as well. Some of there's injuries, Janoris Jenkins, a couple others. Eli Apple, I don't know that he's a starting cornerback in the league. It's going to be an interesting game on Sunday. One thing I do know, Donnie, their offensive line is a fucking mess.
No, it's the one interesting thing to look at, and I know the line. Let me just see what I'm seeing on my monitor right now. 5.5, 6.5 at sportsbook.com. It's not really a surprise out there because if you've listened to Jeff and I all along, the single worst matchup in the National Football League year after year after year is the Eagles absolutely raping and pillaging the New York Giants. And I love this angle too, Jeff. Well, Giants are 0-2. They're going to play for their life. The Giants season's already over. It's already over. You have 2 NFC losses. You're going to get buried this weekend. And it used to be back in the day, I think when they went 0-6 the one year, they were climbing back because you can claim, well, the NFC East isn't going to be very good, so we'll always be in it. This Giants team doesn't have a prayer. Eli Manning, you might as well just, retire Eli Manning at this point, put the young kid in there and just say, hey, what do we got? Maybe you can get out of the way. Maybe even put Geno Smith in. Maybe he can escape the pocket. Because it's going to be a nightmare when they start hitting now the leveling of their schedule where they're going to get these big-time defenses and pass rushers coming after Eli. It's going to be really bad out there. Don't be surprised the Eagles get to Eli again 6, 7, 8 times on Sunday and just bury him. We've seen it before, Jeff. How many times have the Giants come into Philadelphia and got absolutely destroyed? And I mean destroyed, shut out, 10 sacks.
I remember the 27-0 game a couple years ago. Eli got sacked like 7 or 8 times. I mean, it was bad. And look, Donnie, this also goes back to another point. Another poor game for the NFL on primetime. This was not a good football game to watch. It was boring. There weren't many electric plays other than a punt return. A lot of just bad play overall. Detroit didn't really play either. And look, I hate to come at all these big NFL lovers that love the sport. This sport has lost its luster. I'm sorry. The NFL in weeks 1 and 2, and they better fix it because this product is dwindling a little bit, slowly but weekly, surely every week. These games are not good. They're not. There's very few games that are good. You look at the scores. I mean, a lot of low-scoring games, boring games. Donnie, do you really – and I want an honest answer. I don't want this, I love NFL and I'm always going to love it no matter what. Be honest here. When you go into a Sunday, and let's take SBR out of it, take the gambling aspect out of it, just your love for football. Do you really look forward to NFL the way you used to?
I do, because the NFL is my life. The Eagles from when I was a little.
No. Take the Eagles. Just take the football in general, the NFL into it. Do you look at it?
I love Sunday.
Yeah, maybe that's just.
I have a couple DraftKings lineups, a couple fantasy teams, the Eagles, and as long as the Eagles are decent, it's really ramped up here. If the Eagles are 0-9 heading into Week 10, you're right. I might not be looking so much, but again, we're gamblers out there. So anytime you put football in front of my face, good game, bad game, you have some money on it. It might be the game of the week.
But that's the thing I'm trying to, really kind of get to a head with and say to myself, we are your base. This is your base, us gamblers. Fantasy guys, the whole I love the NFL because I love football. That's gone. Okay, there's no one like that anymore. Fantasy and betting rule the roost in the NFL. And your only base that you seemingly have left other than your team fans, you push away. If they're going to inject life into the NFL, which you better look forward to because there's a lockout probably coming, there's the ratings are dwindling more and more.
No, they have a 10-year. They have a 10-year. One of the most absurd things ever, which I'm glad happened. There's a 10-year. For when did they get Nnamdi Asomugha? Then 2011, 2000. They're good until 2021. So they got some time on that.
But what I'm saying is, you're slowly but surely, year after year, dwindling. And ever since Roger Goodell came to the league, this league has begun to. And I'm not saying it's big. It's not. It's a marginal thing, but it's year after year. You're seeing ratings decline. You're seeing play get worse and worse. The offensive line play in this league is terrible. It's offensive. I said it last night. It's offensive to watch these offensive line. The talent's not as good, I feel like. They have to address and you're pushing away your base. You're pushing away gamblers and saying, we disagree with what you're doing completely. Even though we're going to bring a team to Vegas, and it's a total hypocrisy, we're going to disagree with all of you and push you away. They need to inject some life into this league. Because maybe I'm the only one that thinks this way, but I don't think the NFL is as great as it used to be. I think it's losing its luster, and most people look at college football and say, that's where I'm going to go because it's better product. It's a better product. Donnie, you can't say the product of the league hasn't dwindled a little bit.
Well, the thing I do like about the one thing I do like about the NFL, the most probably is the 12-minute.
Donnie's an NFL. He's an NFL supporter. He's always going to push you.
Well, I mean, the NFL is way bigger than college football. I mean, you can both.
It's not, but it's not that good anymore, Donnie. You have to wake up.
It goes in its ebbs and flows, though. I mean, it does. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you said you sat down and you watched that Tennessee and Florida game as an SEC game, and the SEC is brutal to watch on the eyes. I mean, it's awful football.
Okay. Well, again,
I enjoy Alabama just for the physicality of it, but their games are the single most boring game on TV is Alabama. I like that game. Don't get me wrong. Like USC, Texas at night, I enjoyed that football game. It wasn't a great played football game, but I enjoyed it. It went like 7 hours, but it was still good.
Last night's game was good?
To me, it was. I loved it because I love rooting against New York Giants. I had a blast last night laughing my ass off. Yes, I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Yeah, it was not good to me. Not at all. But we have a different opinion. Donnie's an NFL.
Yeah.
He's a groupie. He loves the NFL.
The one thing the NFL does need to fix. I mean, they keep on saying, we sliced down an extra 2 minutes on the game time until they get the commercials out. I don't care if that game goes 19 hours or 9 minutes. It's all about gameplay and flow. That's why it's so good. When you have NFL Rewind, it's amazing how fast you can watch a game when they cut out the commercials. It's an atrocity that the NFL throws that many commercials. And to be honest here, Jeff, let's take a look at how much the advertisers pay. Like Budweiser, I don't drink. Bud Light, I don't drink. I'm not looking to buy a car. I don't even think it even helps. I don't know where that old 1950s Mad Men fallacy where we need the advertiser, nobody's going to see us. The average football fan to myself, do I watch and I see a beer commercial? I want to drink beer. I don't drink beer. Whatever the advertisers come on, it's like a blank space in my head. Nothing they put on there actually interests me one bit. And I'm amazed that they continuously pay for those spots outside of the Super Bowl where you try to get really creative and let me see this commercial to see if it's funny or not. It's the same goddamn commercial 19 times a game. It's not making me buy your beer, man. Knock it off.
But again, I mean, that's pro sports, man. That's not going to ever change, unfortunately. And again, that goes in the product.
Yeah,
I agree.
No, that's terrible. The game day product for the NFL is awful. And you notice it even more by going to an NFL football game. 3 plays, stoppage. You see the guy out there with the bright orange oven mitts going like this nonstop throughout the game. You might have a play. My favorite, Jeff, is when you have a timeout, 1 play, a 2-yard loss, and then another timeout or an injury, and they come back, and then it's the end of the quarter. So you watch 1 play over legitimately 13 to 14 minutes. It's atrocious. The one thing I do give the NFL credit for is they allow the red zone, which I'm astonished they do because, Jeff, you're right. If I'm home and it's 4 o'clock and they stick us with 3 games, and most of those games are the Rams, San Francisco, throw the Jets on there, and maybe the Chargers, and you're telling me I have to watch one of those 3 games, which, again, I don't have the ticket because I don't have the dish. So I'm going to watch the national game, which might be the Rams and the 49ers with no red zone. I'm not watching it. You're right about that. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, and that's why the red zone, you got to watch, Donnie. You got to watch it. Good comment here. This will be fun to put this guy into a grave. You're a fool. Get someone on here who knows what they're talking about. It was just 2 weeks ago. This guy was bashing anyone who was a Purdue backer. Look who's backing Purdue now. Well, Drew, here's the thing about betting. You got to be someone that's willing to change their spots. Donnie, what would happen if I just bet on the same team week after week? Do you think I'd be good at betting? Do you think I'd win any goddamn money? You think I would?
Based on the preseason, yeah.
Come on, man. So what? I didn't like Purdue. They sucked for 10 years straight. What am I supposed to like about Purdue? They look pretty good. They're covering numbers. This is it. This whole thing we're doing here, it's not about bandwagon shit. It's about cashing fucking tickets. And they're cashing tickets right now. So, yeah, I'm going to jump on for a couple weeks, Drew. I mean, Drew, you're just a negative guy. And you're right, I did block you because you're a fucking idiot. Get off it's my Twitter. I can't block you here, but I can block you on my own personal stuff. If you don't like the heat, Drew, get out of the kitchen. Sorry, Drew, that I can't not back. Donnie, do you understand this comment? So because I didn't like Purdue week 1, I shouldn't bet on them the rest of the year. Even though I
hated the Chiefs. I was down on the Chiefs coming in this year. Yeah.
You have to be willing to change things, Drew. I mean, come on, man. Are you serious?
I would like it if I actually could see the future. You know what? We like the Buccaneers. We'll see how it turns out. We like Tennessee. We'll see how it turns out. I hated the Chiefs. We'll see I hated the Ravens. They're
right. Right. So because Young Ho Koo is good and the Chargers like him, he doesn't make field goals now, so now they don't, and they're going to bench him.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? If you don't do your job at work, you're getting fired.
Did they bench my man Koo? I
I'm
didn't hear anything.
just making a comment here.
Okay.
It's a similar situation. So
I
because
like that.
what does that matter? Because I bashed them week 1, they sucked. They've sucked for 15 years. You got to be willing to change things in this game week after week. You can't be hard-headed here. Sorry. I don't like Michigan right now. That doesn't mean in week 9 I'm going to not like them. I don't have a favorite team, Drew. Purdue's not my favorite team. So I can go and jump off whenever I want.
San Diego State, Jeff. That's your team.
Move on, Drew. Because I didn't like your bet. Bet what you want, man. I don't make your money. Notice I don't follow you, Drew. You follow me. Go do something with yourself. You got a couple kids. Go raise your kids, man. Don't bother about what I'm doing. Did you jump off the Rams, BMOC? No, I'm still on the Rams, and I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. I have a feeling Donnie Rightside might be on something else, though.
Oh yeah, that's an automatic. Every week is going to be automatic on Thursday. You know where I'm going.
Well, we'll get into it. Donnie, what do you want to hit first? You want to hit that game, or do you want to hit the college Thursday, Friday games?
Yeah, we're talking about NFL. Why don't we just breeze through some college football lines that, opened up this week, what we see. And we'll start with the Thursday night game. 84% of the spread wager tickets, Jeff, heading for the Rams already. Line opened up at 3. It's already down to 2. 5 dimes, -1, -120. And I agree with it. Put it this way, if you're betting Thursday night football road teams, especially as favorites, you might as well light your money on fire. Doesn't mean they're going to win every week, but over the long term, a Thursday night favorite coming in on the road is going to bury you. And this week, and I do it all week, I lost last week, risking a unit on the Cincinnati Bengals to win $39. So I'm down 1 unit on the season. I will be betting a unit on the San Francisco 49ers here at home, and I'll do it throughout the season, and I will profit at the end of it. Not to say it works every week, because, again, if it was this easy, nobody would bet. We would just all hammer the home team on Thursday night. You have to pick your spots, but over longevity there, I think San Francisco would be the better play on Thursday night. The one thing I don't like is they're a little bit banged up in their secondary. We both know they struggle on offense. But if you take a look, Jeff, they did play 2 fairly good defensive football teams with going against the Panthers and also Seattle. So I think they're going to get a little bit of a breather here at home versus the Rams. I mean, the Rams are an okay defense, but I look for the home team in this one, especially a home dog on Thursday, and I like that angle.
I thought you were betting every what are you betting? Every favored? I think I could.
No. Every home team risking 1 unit throughout the season, whether they're a dog or a favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you here. Listen, I like Carlos Hyde. Don't get me wrong, good little player, but what do you have there other than him? This team can't move the ball, Donnie. I mean,
good defenses though, Jeff. They played really good Ds.
Yeah, but they've also played the 49ers, and who'd they play week 1? Carolina, which
Carolina's throwing damn near shutouts right now. I mean, again, they're not playing the greatest offense.
But Carolina scored a good amount of points against them. Listen,
20?
I'm
20?
23, but either way,
Yeah.
I think the Rams are just a slightly better team. I don't have much in the game. I'll lean one way.
It's a bad game.
Yeah, it's a bad game. I'd probably say under. How about that? Under. Let's go under in this game. I mean, does anyone think this is not going to be a 19-9, 17-13 type of game?
That's bad. The NFL's doing this to themselves, man. You look at these freaking games they're putting on. I mean, I guess on paper, Jeff, before the season coming in, hey, man, Thursday night, we'll get a little Cincinnati-Houston underway. What an awful game that is. And this game, you look and everybody's laughing at the same thing again. Hey, we're going to send our color rush uniforms out there. That doesn't make the game any better.
Yeah, by the way, I don't understand the Rams uniform at all. So you have
good point. I mean, it's the old version of it, but come on, dude, go back to the yellow, Ram on the helmet. What are we doing?
Right. You have you have a navy blue gold uniform with a white blue helmet.
Come on, man.
Doesn't even match.
Yep. No, you're right. I mean, because back in the day they used to have just those 2 colors. When they moved to LA, or excuse me, when they switched it up, they went to the gold, like the Eric Dickerson Rams, which I thought was a cool one. Every time you saw, Jerome Bettis back in the day rocking the throwback for the Rams, that's a cool uniform. And then they go back to the one. I mean, I don't know. NFL never gets it right. Same thing with the Eagles in their uniform. Everybody wants Kelly Green. We're not going to give it to you. I mean, what?
But here's the big thing about week 1 and 2, where Goff played great week 1, probably against a bad team. Week 2, against a bad defense, he struggled. They couldn't really move the ball. I'm more to think they're more in the middle. Goff will be okay. Donald gets another week of conditioning. I think defensively the Rams are pretty good. I mean, I like them overall. I mean, I think that's the strength of the football team. They have better weapons on offense. San Francisco's got a great defense. You're totally right there. But I just think this is – I mean, right now in the NFL, how can you not look under? I mean, 40 points seems like a stretch for these two teams. I mean, I could see –
especially on a Thursday.
Yeah, right. I could see, the Rams on the road maybe putting up 20 in this game. But I got to tell you, I don't think the 49ers are going to score 20 points much this year. I mean, they're going to be around the 10 to 13-point mark a lot. I mean, they just don't have very many weapons, unfortunately. For me, I'm going to take a shot with the under 40 here. And Donnie, you're going to go with your angle with the home.
Yeah, exactly. It has nothing even to do with capping the game, folks. I mean, it's just a Thursday night trend where it's hard. I mean, it's what is it? 62, 63% the home team wins and covers. Okay. I believe it is since Thursday night football started. It's Jeff, put it this way. It's the single most distinctive advantage in professional sports.
Oh, sure.
Is the Thursday night home team. And again, it all dates back, Jeff.
Other than like the third game,
like the
NFL, NBA.
Yep. The NFL doesn't need this. And they consistently hamstring, and you want a better product on the field. What's the worst thing to do? Have the team play 4 days later than they just played on a Sunday. All right, like, what are we doing? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And then you're going to put them on, and it's the advantage to the away team. And then, of course, my favorite team in the world, the Dallas Cowboys, every single year, they get the mini bye week and play at home on a Thursday midway through the season, and then the mini bye week after. It's the most unfair advantage, and they usually stick the Cowboys with like a game in London or some ridiculous one where then they get out of another game. So, I mean, the competitive advantage, if you don't have that Thursday night game, like if it's your year and you have the Thursday night game on the road, you're just screwed. It's just the way it is. The Eagles go to Carolina this year. They're going to get screwed. Panthers will probably beat them. I don't even care how they come into the game. It's just hard to win when you don't practice. It's really hard.
You look at, Donnie, also some things to kind of better grab the under here. 3 of the last 4 between these teams have gone under. Yeah. For the Rams, 12 of 16 on the road have gone under. For the San Francisco 49ers, 12 of 17 at home have gone under. These are just under teams. These are just teams that – and this looks like the quintessential NFL 2017 football game. Low scoring, bad play, probably a lot of penalties, throwing the game off. 2 teams that don't want to play there. 2 teams that have started out struggling here. It's just a bad spot for both teams, really. And I think you're right. I think there's going to be a slobber knocker game. Comes down to the wire. I don't think we see a lot of points here. Lean for me. I'm going to go under 40 in this game. Donnie, do want to ask you one thing here. A question. Actually, somebody mentioned something. Oh yeah, here we go. And I had a direct relation to this last night, and I want to get everyone's opinion here. So yesterday, Donnie, we talked about James Franklin and his disgraceful decision to call a timeout with 11 seconds left. And we saw yesterday Mike Francesa go wild about it. People went wild about it. Justin Paroli, Penn State's way overrated, and their fan base is delusional. That is so true. Yeah. Living where I live now, Donnie, growing up, my grandpa on my mother's side was a huge Penn State fan. Every Saturday, I watched Penn State, and I grew to love the team. I'll admit it. When I was a young kid, and my grandfather died when I was like 16. And growing up, I remember Curtis Enos, Larry Johnson, LeVar Arrington. I mean, just so many great teams. The Mike McQueary teams back in the day, back when Jerry Sandusky was a defensive coordinator, Donnie.
And then everything, Carter, all those guys. Yep,
sure. And then everything happened, and everything happened at Penn State, and I immediately began to hate the school. I looked at them and I said to myself, what am I doing here? This school is just they're delusional. They have their whole football is king in State College, and it's not far from where I live. It's about 2 hours away. Penn State everyone around here loves Penn State, but I began to hate the program. I hate the team, and now I've gotten to the point where I literally they disgust me. I hate them. They just make me sick. And the old team, they're just not there anymore. And it was really, for me, a way of closure with my own family, with my grandpa dying. For me, it was closure. And I said, you know what? We had our times when I was younger. Now it's time to put that away and move on. And I look at this team now, and I see a team that's ranked top 10. And what are they, 4th right now?
Yeah, they're up there. They didn't play anybody, but they're up there. Yeah.
And I asked myself, why? What have they done to be 4th? And then I asked why. And then I had all these people last night on Facebook, brainwashed alumni. Great point, Lauren. That nothing can be said about their team.
No.
They're justifying calling the timeout. Well, they didn't have the right team in there. What does it matter? You're really looking to block that field goal? You're really looking to get that shutout?
Yeah, well, the best part about that whole comment we talked, Jeff, was like if you said, right away where kids are asking you on the sideline as the other team is running their field goal unit out there, Coach, who do you want in? Hey, Dave's on the first team. He even has his shoulder pads off on the sideline. What are we doing? All right, hold on. Timeout. Let's get the four-string guy. Hey, I just need 11 guys. Who wants to play in there? All right, let me go in, Coach. I want to try this. All right, send them in. But no, you waited, and the kick was made as you called timeout to ice him, which is a completely bogus response.
If you're Franklin, what you do there is say, we're okay with it. Let's just move on. Let's get the game over with. It's 56-0. Let's move on. But this is not what he does. He's not that kind of guy. He did it against Pittsburgh, calling them, it was like playing Akron. I mean, come on, man. It's your state, a state school with you. I mean, you look at them as almost like your brother in a way. They're Pennsylvania.
It's funny how long Paterno hung on to, and if this scandal didn't come, he probably would have been able to force his way till he was 98 years old in a wheelchair on the sideline, being the head coach of Penn State. I'll never forget you. If they were getting ready for Nebraska, like the week of that scandal broke, and all hell was breaking loose, and I remember Joe Paterno like on his front lawn saying, "Yeah, you know what?
Yep,
say a prayer for some of these kids, but look, man, hey." We got Nebraska this weekend. Let's worry about that first and foremost." And he was gone in like a matter of an hour and a half after that statement. And that told you how much of that cult was up there. He's like, look, I don't really care what happened to these kids. I got Nebraska this week. It's a lot bigger story than this.
They cheered for him.
That was amazing. Now, it's a complete cult situation up there. And even from day one when that story broke till this day right now, when I see a guy wearing a Penn State hat, a Penn State jacket, a Penn State shirt, I immediately think Sandusky right off the bat, and it's never going to change. Like, and again, if you graduated from Penn State and I'm going to hire you, where'd you go to school? Penn State, Sandusky. That's all I think about.
And their alumni are delusional. And here's the grandeur about Penn State. No one outside of University Park cares. They don't look at Penn State as a power. The only delusional people that do are the ones that went there. I mean, it's ridiculous. What if they ever won? I mean, really?
I mean, they did have a winning program for a long time, but that ceased to exist. After that Kerry Collins team, right. I mean, they hit a lull, but there was no way you could fight. Like Joe Paterno owned the school. Joe Paterno told the AD what he wanted. Joe Paterno told the president what building they wanted built.
Donnie, when you think of college football, do you think of Penn State?
No, I've hated Penn State way before. I mean, I was a Penn State hater in the 80s because a lot of my friends like Penn State and Notre Dame. And I was like, I'm not getting down like that. So.
It's amazing. It's just an unwritten rule. I mean, Georgia State's a bad team, a low level team. They're just looking to grab a couple points against Penn State.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you actually paid Georgia State to come up there and clean their clock, which you did. But you're going to do something. So, you know what, Jeff? It would be so funny. Like, let's just say, I don't know if they meet up with a Michigan or an Ohio State. Can you imagine like Michigan or Ohio State being up like 21 on Penn State? And like either icing the kicker or Urban Meyer's just like, you know what? There's a minute and a half on the clock. We're at the 5. We could take a knee. Now we're punching this bad boy in. It's coming.
Urban will do it.
Yeah,
and that's the one time I'll look at Urban Meyer and be like, my man.
Yeah, exactly. The one time. You're right.
Yeah. Donnie, let's get into the Thursday and Friday games for college football, and then we'll look to wrap it up here. Penn State has one of the easiest schedules. They should be ashamed. Agreed. I mean, year after year they do that. That's what this team does. It's the Joe Paterno effect. Schedule 3 patsies, do decent in the Big Ten, and go to the Alamo Bowl. But, hey, we should respect that, right?
Yeah, no, year after year. Yeah, I mean, always respect. I mean, Jerry's used to bring down their, hey, I got those kids' charity. I'm going to bring 6 boys with me every single year on the bowl trip. How'd that work out for you, Penn State?
Yeah, but at what point do you look at that and say, why is this happening? Like, this is kind of weird, no? Like,
No, and the fact that they all know, I mean, put it this way, like, you have your tight-knit friends, you work around them damn near 365 days a year, you know their quirks, and you know something isn't right away. Like, this guy has kids around him all the time. And, again, I mean, we could go for hours on Penn State and their, idiocy up there, but.
Do you want to discuss, Donnie, a report out of Gainesville, not good. Felony charges are coming for Florida players involved in fraud case. I told you it would be bad, and I think it's going to be bad. 9 different players, including Antonio Callaway, are involved in this. It has to do with the credit card being stolen. They then bought electronics and then sold those electronics with stolen credit cards.
Yeah,
It's a
kids make
fraud
dumb
scheme.
decisions. Yeah,
This
they
is what
make
it
stupid
is.
decisions.
And, this is for all the lawyers out there, felony grand theft. I'm sure they can discuss that.
Jeff,
And
I would have
this,
liked to have seen if Urban Meyer was still at Florida, if we ever heard about this even coming out. You think? I think it would have
oh,
buried it.
no, we don't hear about this. No way. S. Carter. I can't stand Paterno, but the Penn State hate is stupid. Oh yeah, I mean, why shouldn't we hate a school that swept a child molestation case under the carpet, tried to get away with it for years on end, and protect a sex predator? Yeah, why shouldn't we hate them? Doesn't seem right. We shouldn't hate Penn State for that, should we, Donnie?
No, and then the fight to get the statue back up and all that stuff. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, the legend, Joe Paterno, right? Because he coached for so much the last 10 years. He wasn't even on the sideline half the time. It doesn't – yeah, S. Carter, that you're right. But I have a different way of looking at Catholicism now. I don't know about you. I grew up Catholic. I love Jesus. But
And
I'll
I
tell
don't
you
go
what.
to church. I'm Catholic. I don't even go to church. I mean,
But I'll tell you
it's a
what.
different time.
When people talk about Catholics, you know what they mention? Pedophilia. That's what they mention.
Sure.
Sorry.
No.
I'm not going to say all – you're right. But the problem is it's the disdain. When we talk about Joe Paterno, Donnie, it's not all the wins he had. It's not all the bowl wins he had. It's not all the great kids he put in the workforce in America. It's not the kids that he built, the program he built. It's about one thing, and what is that, Donnie?
Yeah, I know what it is.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
So that's our points here today. I just I will say this last thing. He should be ashamed for what he did, and it won't be the first time. That's what James Franklin does, but we'll see. Hopefully he wakes up. Donnie, let's get into Temple USF. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, looking at about 2,000 tickets been tracked on this one, Jeff. Not a lot of love for Temple here based on spread backers, Jeff. 87% coming out early for the South Florida Bulls. Line opened up at 19. It looks like at Pinnacles now it's at 20.5. Chris opened up a little bit less, Jeff, 17.5. Ballooned right up to 20.5. So again, not much love for Temple. But then again, how can you have much luck for Temple or love for Temple when you see the way they're playing football? The one thing now, Jeff, is they're not in position to cover a point spread, being the favorite in the game. They're going to be catching about 3 touchdowns. We know Temple can play some good defense. The only problem is, can they score, Jeff, if they're down 14 points here?
I think they can score. I don't think they're going to do a lot of scoring, though. For the record, Logan Marchi has played pretty well as their quarterback. He's more of a regular kind of stay in the pocket thrower type of quarterback. But I got to tell you, I think USF after last week's really going to start rolling here. They had a kind of an odd start to the year, but we got to look back to last year, Donnie. USF lost to Temple in Philadelphia, and it was a big hit to their Group of 5 chances on New Year's. This really kind of ended that talk, and I think Quentin Flowers is really – and this is, Donnie, a thing you want to look at. This is the one primetime game that he's going to have where it's the only game on TV. So you're going to look for Quentin Flowers at home here off a great performance, I think, to really kind of – take this football game over, and if he has any chance of winning something, really taking advantage of this shot here. Joe Duffy mentioned to me, Donnie, I talked with him, 102 snaps per game for South Florida, most in the country. They're really moving the football. They're really, running a ton of plays. And I think with Temple, it's going to take a little time. This team has struggled to score. They've also struggled to defend. Their pass defense has been poor. And you look at last week, 680 yards for South Florida, Donnie. Impressive against Illinois, who overall always has a pretty decent defense. Temple's struggling against the pass, 314 yards per game. And it's concerning because you have a lot of upperclassmen in that secondary that should play better. But I look at what Temple did on the road at Notre Dame, didn't play well there. This is a step up in class for Temple, a rebuilding program who got the run game going a little bit last week, but South Florida's got a really good run defense. Bruce Hector, Augie Sanchez, good run defense, good front seven. For me, I think it's a pretty good number for South Florida. I think they win this one like 48-20, something like that. Over might be a pretty good play as well, but I'm just concerned Temple can't put up 20 points. I could very well see this, 40-17 or something, where Temple.
What's Temple's MO in this one, Jeff, coming in obviously with a more defensive head coach, running game, have a decent running back when you get him going. you don't think they try to match tempo with here with South Florida, do you? More of like, hey, let's spend 3 plays to get a first down, keep the ball out of Flowers' hands. Can you see something like that? Because if we're looking, you bring up the total, Chris opened up at 55.5, now sits at 63.5, which again, in a college football landscape, 50, mid 50s, high 50s, not really that hard, even with, some of these teams that can barely even score, so to speak. But does Temple's game plan affect that total, or to say, look, let's play keep away here?
Well, yeah, I think they'd be smart to do that, but the problem is they're not really that good defensively. We have to get out of our heads that Temple is that shutdown defense they were last year. Right.
Yep, you're right.
Hassan Reddick and those they're not that defense anymore. They're just not. They have a whole new coach who is a defensive guy, and here's the problem you have with Jeff Collins at Temple. It's a whole lot easier recruiting at Florida than it is at Temple. Sorry. He might struggle. I don't think he's going to command the same as Matt Rule did. And most kids that live in Philadelphia, they're going to go to good schools. And the people that just want that Division I recruit, they're going to go to Temple. So you're not getting the best talent. I think Jeff Collins it's going to take a while for him to have any sort of success at Temple. I think this is a tough spot on the road against a team that's really kind of kind of to start to pick it up. I don't think that they look back here. Charlie, they do have to clean up penalties, though. They've been penalized a lot, South Florida. That's something they're going to have to clean up. But I think this is a pretty good number, anything under 3 touchdowns. I'm going to look to take South Florida here. They've been a good home team as far as against the spread, 11 of 14 they've covered. They've really been a pretty good spread team over the years. And throw out what Temple's done in the past against the spread, because this is a really rebuilt football team. You've kind of what Temple was last year in South Florida, a team that could really kind of do something. This is what you are after losing all graduation. So for me, I would probably lay the points here with the Bulls.
Yeah, no, I mean, the line's going in the right direction. A lot of support, man. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, being a standalone game on Thursday night, so you're either going to be watching the NFL game, which is going to be awful. So I'm sure some eyeballs are going to go over to that college football game, and that ticket count will go up. But it's going to be interesting to see where it ends up, Jeff. I mean, Sportsbook's already showing 21, Bovada 21, sort of changes the game. If you want South Florida, you probably should take it now, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know why you would, when you have a favorite of this number, waiting on it is ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah, so it could go down to 7. I mean, the key number, Jeff, is the 21. Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to go down. I mean, again, why not just bet it now? I mean, so does it really? Let's ask yourself this. Okay, this is what you want to do when you're looking at a number. So it's at 20.5 now at most books. If it goes down to 20, is that really going to change your decision?
Or 19.5? Yeah.
Where should it have to go to where you say, you know what? I mean.
The smart gambler would say, I can't have this line go over 21. Anything south of that is fine. Yes.
Correct. That's exactly right. That's where you look at it. You don't want it to get up over 3 touchdowns. And I'm not saying that I think they're going to win by 24 to 30 points, but I want to be on that 20.5 in the case when they're up 28 with 3 minutes to go. I don't want to push. I'm not looking to push in this business. I'm looking to win. I hate losing. So for me, I'm going to get a great
also,
number.
Jeff, if you're down 24 points and there's 3 minutes to go, the other team's not kicking the goddamn field goal to make it 21. You know what I mean?
Correct.
They're going to try to score, and they would cover it either way. But you just want that 21-point cushion there. I understand. Again, if you're betting South Florida, now's the time to take it because the line is not reversing back with sharp money to like 16. And
I will point this out. If it goes above 21, I am not interested. I'm not saying they won't win by 24. This is a numbers game, though. Like I said, I'm not in this game to push. I'm not in this to get backdoored. I think at 20.5, I'm going to be in a good position to win this number. Yeah. So for me, that's where I'm going to bet it right now. And by the way, guys, a lot of people asking about certain games. As many know all week, and what I'm doing right now is I'm writing down these games that you are mentioning. And when I do the bet buffet this week, and when I do the closing line this week with Donnie or whatever, these are the games we're going to talk about. So I asked you.
We'll chip away. We can't. It would be. Me and Jeff could talk all day long. We could probably say, hey, SPR, let us on for 4 straight hours on Monday, and we would bury every one of these games. But you can't do that because Jeff and I appear on a lot of shows and go over the same stuff. We like to save it. So he's right. If somebody's asking for a certain game, it's going to come up during the week. We will hit every single game, NFL and college, in one way or another this week.
Donnie, from 12 to 12 every day, actually from 12 to 3, 12 p.m. to 3 a.m., If I was asked to do a show every hour, every day, I would do it if I had to. I'm indebted to this business, and I would help every person. Unfortunately, though, there are people that get sick of seeing me on here. So we have to try to get it all in 1 hour and do it all over the week. So I urge you, subscribe, like the show, watch all the shows on SBR, because there are a lot of people on here that know what they're talking about. And I'll also be on the other shows as well, giving my points on other games. So, Donnie, let's get into the other two, and we'll get up out of here.
305, 306, Virginia, Boise State. Very light action wagering on this one, Jeff, but 69% are backing the road ACC squad, Virginia here. Over-under opened up at 53, down to 51.5. Line opened up at Chris, Jeff, at 13. Now sitting 11.5 at Chris, 11.5 at 5 dimes, 12 at Sportsbook. So some reverse action there, which is pretty good. I mean, you have the majority of the public betting Virginia, lines going down. And again, I don't think people are trusting this Boise State squad right now until they show them something where they can get back to form, 35, 40, 45 points a game that they're usually putting up at home. Virginia's probably going to come in and bring a little bit of defense into this one, but Virginia to me stinks. Like, Virginia stinks, and they're going to go out west in an unfamiliar blue turf environment there. Are you laying your money on Virginia, Jeff, looking early here?
I'll say this. I think this is a tough game, because I'll say this. I don't think Boise's very good. I think this is what they are. They're not going to ever – I don't think they're going to get back to that 45 points game. They don't have many weapons on offense. Brett Rippon's coming back from injury. He's going to play in this game. He's been practicing all sorts of stuff here. But this is a tough spot. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's a Friday game. So you look at Boise, they're struggling at home as it is. 2-11 against the spread over their last 13 at home. They don't cover at home. And I think they're on an 0-8 run right now at home against the spread over their last 8. They also have some things going on off the field. Their best defensive player, David Moa, was arrested over the weekend. A fight outside of a bar, got a charge. I'm going to go out and guess that Brian Harsin didn't seem happy yesterday speaking to the media about this. So I would think he's suspended at some point for this game. I don't know if it'll be the whole game. They might say, we're going to take you off for the first half. I don't know. If I'm Harsin, and I think if I know Harsin the way I think I do, I think he'll be suspended, and that's a big loss up front. David Moe is a good nose tackle. He's a guy that can get to the quarterback. I think he had 8 sacks last year. That's a big loss for me. But Donnie, you mentioned UVA. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're as bad as they used to be. I think they're a team that they're pretty capable on offense. 16th in the country in pass offense right now. Kurt Benkert comes over from Eastern Carolina. They can move the ball, and Mendenhall is slowly building something. They're going to win some games this year. They're still a bad team. They're going to finish probably second or third last in the ACC. But you can't get away from the fact that they can move the football. And you're getting a team in Boise right now who is not playing well at home. There's a lot of injuries with this team. Just a lot of weird things going on. I don't think they're really well coached either. I don't think Harsin's very good. But then again, this is a road game, their first road game for Virginia. And Donnie, this is a game on Friday. When does Virginia ever play on Fridays? Very, very, very rare, very infrequently. Yeah. And Mendenhall talked about this in his press conference yesterday, mentioning that everything is one day earlier. Everything's kind of thrown off. This is a tough game for me. I don't have much of a lean on the side. It wouldn't surprise me that this game, the last team covers, that kind of situation, or Boise runs away with it. I don't know. I considered the over. I think it's 38, 17 type of game. I think it will get up and over, and Boise will score. But overall, it's a game for me that I'm going to stay away from. I think this Benkert and UVA are capable. I do. But on the road, Friday night, it's not a good spot for me. Sorry.
Late game on Friday night, Jeff. 10:30 Eastern time start, 7:30 Pacific, 307, 308. Utah and Arizona, 2,000 tickets have been tracked in this one. Everybody leaning on Utah here, Jeff. 76% of the wagers, 72% of the money coming in. Line opened up at 4, now down to 3 at Pinnacle. Chris has 3, 5 dimes at 3. So it looks like the public is being, decidedly on Utah here, Jeff. But Arizona, getting right. I mean, it was against UTEP, but it always feels nice to run up and down the field, score a lot of points, and then come home and try to play a Pac-10 rival or Pac-12 rival in this situation. I think Utah overall is the better team here, Jeff. But why is the betting so decided on Utah coming in as a road favorite here, and that line isn't going anywhere?
Well, because I think overall the sentiment is Utah's the better team. I think they're the better team.
Yeah.
But they're going on the road here to play in Arizona. And look, Arizona is excited off their win against UTEP, and they ran up and down the field. But let's be real. I mean, UTEP possibly is the worst team in college football. I think there are plenty of FCS teams that could beat UTEP. UTEP is thrown in the towel 2 games in. Their coach should get fired immediately. There's a lot of things that you don't like, though, from an Arizona perspective here. They usually don't maintain a lot of consistency, this program. Rich Rod's not a guy that really kind of motivates you. Sorry, I don't mean to say that, but he doesn't. And Tyler Huntley, the quarterback for Utah, is playing really well, the sophomore quarterback. They usually just get pretty good quarterback play no matter what. I mean, they're not household names, these guys, but they're playing well. And the addition of Darren Carrington for Utah has helped tremendously. He comes over from Oregon, and he's really made some big plays for this team. I think he's really kind of solidified the receiver position and given them some sort of juice on offense. They're usually a boring football team, but they're running around, they're scoring touchdowns through the air. And it concerns me. Utah has generated 9 turnovers this year, Donnie. Brandon Dawkins is a guy that I don't want to be around when he plays a team that generates turnovers. He's just a guy that's just kind of streaky with the football, doesn't really take care of it. And
it's like a mini Vince Young out there to me.
Yeah, that's kind of a good point. And, you know, a lot of people will point to their run offense and say, well, they're 5th in the country in run offense. We have to remember 2 of the teams they played were UTEP and the Lumberjacks of Northern Arizona. Again, I mean, come on. You also look at the game against Houston. I think that was a kind of a good catalyst to what Arizona is. And I think Utah's a similar team to Arizona. They're really good up front. They're really good against the run. They're a deciding factor on defense. And that's where this game's going to be won. I think they're slightly better Utah on offense. I think they're much better on defense. And I think this game is going to be won in the trenches. Arizona is going to beat up on bad teams, but you look at what they did against Houston, really weren't able to get anything going offensively, turn the football over way too much. They'll have their flashes in this game, but I think Utah is just a better football team right now. At 3, I think it's a pretty decent number. Clearly in this game, I think all the half points will matter. So, you know, 53.5, I'm not as interested. But at 3, I think it's a good play. But I'm not running to the window to bet Utah on the road, though I do think they're the right play. The only play out of all 3 of these that I'm probably going to bet on is USF. But Utah is a pretty good play. The other game, Boise, UVA, I have nothing on.
Yeah, no, that's the 3 games there, that 3-pack we're looking at Thursday and Friday. Obviously a full slate. We do have a couple minutes left here, Jeff. Without breaking any of the games down this Saturday, what games are interested to you where you want to see, whether it be a betting perspective or maybe just, you know, you want to sit back and watch this game, you're looking forward to it? Give the listeners a couple of those they might be able to look at.
Yeah, couple games that I have my eye on for certain reasons. I'm really looking at UMass this week. That number's just continued to rise. I'm going to try to just wait on that as long as I can. The general consensus is that no one likes UMass. But if you peel back the onion, you'll see that they've been very competitive in games. And Tennessee has – I don't know who created these lines, but I'm going to pick them off. I'm waiting on UMass. I'm going to try to get as many points as possible. I think we could see 30, and I'm going to wait for as long as I can. UMass is on my radar. I'm also looking at Houston, Texas Tech. Donnie, Texas Tech hasn't changed their spots at all. I mean, they are what they are. They throw the football around. I like Houston against a Arizona team that runs the football a lot or has a non-capable quarterback. Texas Tech against them scares me. I think Texas Tech can really do what they want against Houston. Ed Oliver doesn't defend the pass. Okay? I mean, against a team like Texas Tech, an in-state matchup, I'm going to almost look to maybe grab the points there. I'm seeing 7 at 5 dimes. Great number. There's a lot of numbers with that game. You got 7 at 5 dimes. You got 6 at Bet Online. So, yeah, that's one I'm going to have my eye on. None of these games I've moved on yet. The only game I've moved on, and I'm going to tell you, I'm on Purdue plus 10. I think this is a great spot for Purdue. I think Michigan has got a lot of problems right now. They can't move the football. They're not good in the red zone. They got to go on the road and lay double digits. Their best player on offense, Tariq Black's out. They have trouble in the run game with Ty Isaac on injuries as well. They're just not capable to me of laying a number like this right now. And for the most part, Purdue, I just don't see them falling back here. Is this a good defense? Yeah, it is. But Donnie, you're a MAC guy.
Yeah.
Ohio's a pretty good defense too. They did whatever they wanted there. I'm not saying they're going to do that against Michigan. That's a bad comparison. But against a capable defense, they did whatever they wanted. And I'm not asking for them to win this game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to rock with the team and the Boilermakers that have been great against the spread so far. They're beginning to gain a lot of confidence here.
Sellout also in Purdue this weekend, Jeff, back to the Tiller days and, Drew Brees. I mean, hey, and again, it's one of those teams riding high, Jeff. They're playing with house money right now. They're going to say, let's see if we can measure up with Michigan and get after them. They're not scared. They've won a couple of games. They got confidence and should be a good one.
Yeah, I always am interested. It is homecoming at Purdue as well. And for a team like Purdue, I think that means something, per se. For a team like Alabama, homecoming doesn't mean shit. But
because it's usually against like Kent State, yeah.
But for me, I think for Purdue, I think they're riding high on this team. They're riding high. They're playing good football. I thought what they did last week. I thought the big thing I gained out of it was how well they played defensively. Missouri is not a pushover in offense. They can move the ball. They have a really good running back in Crockett. They shut them down on Saturday, and that was another thing I've gained from this team. They're really playing great on both sides of the ball. One or two others that I'm kind of have my eye on. Alabama, Vanderbilt. I got to tell you, I'm leaning the dog in that game. I like the Commodores here. I'm not going to say I don't think they're a great team. Sure, they're probably the best team in the country still, but Vanderbilt is slept on. You know that, Donnie. And I was interested and surprised to hear your take on that game last night. I thought you'd be leaning the way I leaned. I like Vandy.
I think the line, Jeff, it's one of those things we're just looking at. Again, I've only done preliminary work on the game, but if you look at the game and you're just a football fan, you go, I'm going to take Vanderbilt. That's too many points. So I'm trying to get inside and sort of, some of these games you don't have a great feel for, but you try to build a case for both sides. And I just want to see like how the details are going to come out because I know Alabama – you're not a high-flying offense with Vanderbilt. I love the way – don't get me wrong, Jeff. I love the way Vanderbilt plays. Give me some good defense out there. Give me a really good running back, quarterback now who's trying to not turn the football over. We saw it last week, 14-7, I think the final with Kansas State in that one. But just looking at the line, Jeff, to me, it looks too easy right now to say, dude, Vanderbilt could play with anybody. And, hey, wait, Colorado State hung around with, Alabama and covered and Fresno, covered. It's one of those games where I'm trying to find that difference in that one. Not to say I would even be betting it or handing the game out, but I just think it looks too easy just to take Vanderbilt with the points here.
Yeah, and I haven't bet them yet. I'm intrigued to see where this line goes. Obviously we know people love Alabama and they'll bet Alabama. This is going to be one that for usually I'm going to bet a dog early, but I do think money clearly will come in on Alabama here. So for me, I'm going to wait. Isn't this the guy who said emotional angles like Derek Jeter night are bullshit? Well, because this is a college team who has no success really ever. That's why. Again, people, Donnie, you would agree those are professionals. These are college.
We're dealing with point spreads, not just winning. Your angle should never be they're excited and that's what's going to happen. It's a 3-0 football team at home with a sold out crowd, which again they're not used to having a sold out crowd. You know what's fun they're having? They're not 0-3 heading into this football game and saying, "Oh, let's get up for Michigan." They actually think they're contenders, and they should be because that's the way college kids think.
And emotional is big.
And they're not cashing checks in college. You know what I mean? Pros cash checks.
Correct.
Hey, what a big loss last night. The best part about it, Jeff, let's take a look at the Eagles itself, right? The Eagles lose a big game. I'm devastated on Monday. You know what they're doing? They're at the club waiting until midnight when that $1 million check cashes every morning. They don't give a damn. College kids much different than that.
Yeah. They're worried about winning. They want to win. They want to be the guy. They want to beat big Michigan. For me, I don't. The Yankees don't give a shit that Derek Jeter's retiring. I mean, some of them do, but
no, they're probably like, dude, get this guy out of here, man. He's already retired. This is my team now.
Let's play already. And if you notice and listen to what I said, I don't normally care much about homecoming, but for schools like Purdue, I do. I think Purdue is a team that has wallowed in despair for a long time, and they're getting a little success. So they use the angle of this event. And they're going to be rocking it.
Kids get excited. Kids love this stuff being in that environment. Pros are pros, man. They're
what was the last time they had? These kids that root for Purdue, they were little toddlers when Drew Brees was there. They're going to be geek for this game against Michigan. They have a football team finally. I'm going to take that advantage. But
Jeff,
yeah, there's
talk about one more game before we get
Yeah.
out of here. We got a couple minutes left. 351, 352. A lot of interesting dynamics in this one. That's Miami and Toledo. Mac heading down. Miami hasn't played in a couple weeks, Jeff. If you saw the pictures coming out there, they're practicing at Disney World today. The one thing you can be rest assured with Toledo, Jeff, they're going to be competitive and move the football. Looking at the opening line right now around 13.5, depending on where you're getting it, 57.5, somewhere in that range for the over-under. Any early thoughts on that or what could take place there?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm not crazy to rush to the window with some of these teams. I really want to look into Miami's, and again, Miami's a high-level football program, so I'm going to guess that they've had plenty of time to prepare. They'll be ready for this game, but I'm not in any belief that Toledo is going to be able to stop Miami in this game.
That's the point I want to get over. Like, more than looking at a side, because again, you're still looking at a low number, 13. I mean, Toledo's a really good football team, but Miami is, on the comeback trail here. Miami's back, quote unquote. But I actually would look, Jeff. I know how good Miami's defense is, but it just seems to me Toledo, it doesn't matter how good Miami's going to be able to do, should be able to do what they want on offense. Figuring, Jeff, getting into the high 30s, low 40s. You would think Toledo is going to be able to get to 20 points here. They have a good offense that can move the football.
Yeah, and this is, again, a step up in class. Toledo always looks good against, Tulsa or Central Michigan.
Even last year with BYU. BYU had a decent football team last year. That game was like 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, and BYU I don't even put into that higher level class. Miami is getting the best recruits. Normally, they're getting the best players, the highest level players. The big problem is with Miami, they just haven't played in so long. They're going to be rusty. I look over.
The one good thing in that game is Amon Richards will be back for this game. It should be healthy. Miami's best wide receiver. So that's already going to be a pounding. But if you look at it, Jeff, like Bethune-Cookman got 13. You would think Toledo could probably get to 20.
No, and that's the angle I'm looking at. If that's the point, if Toledo can get to 20, I think this game will go over.
That's an over.
I think this is a 42-17 type of game, or not 42-20 or something. It'll be close, but it'll get right up and over the total. I'd love to see they get down 56-ish. I would probably move on it. We'll see, though, where it goes. It'll be interesting for sure. College football is great, man. A lot of cool matchups this weekend, a lot of fun matchups. We're starting to see less and less added games, so there are not going to be a lot of those. But it'll be fun for sure. Looking forward to breaking it all down this week here at SBR Sports Picks. Donnie, we got football coming up. We'll be on the roundtable tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern. Me, you, Drew, Ian, Cameron, Babano. We'll be talking college football and the NFL from a perspective of the report, how everybody's looking, what we've seen and what we're looking at. Donnie, what do you got going on today?
I got the 3-show tilt today. Number one down already, right side of campus. Jeff's going to be with me a little bit later today on the closing line at 6 p.m. We'll break down a little baseball. We'll go over even more college football, so tune into that. And then at 10:15, I'll be appearing on Sports Rage tonight, or Sports Anger Management, I should say, with Gabriel Morency. We'll have a little bit of fun. We'll be talking NFL and go over a lot of stuff during that time as well. So busy day on the slate for Maya and Jeff. What you got today? Anything else besides the closing line?
No, I'm pretty much off. I'm pretty much good. I do got to do a spot with Gabe on his Sports Rage show or Game Time Decisions, whatever it is on Sports Fantasy Network Sports. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty much good to go. I'll be watching soccer later. Do you have any chance of Toledo pulling off the ups? No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
the
only thing you would look for, Jeff, is that Miami just comes out and fumbles 3 times in the first quarter, has 19 penalties, like they haven't played football before. So
I think if you're going to upset a team like Miami, it wouldn't surprise me if it's this week.
Correct.
Toledo's got a great quarterback. And Donnie, could you see it kind of like what Paxton Lynch used to do at Memphis against like Old Miss?
Exactly.
Toledo's a pretty good mid-major program, but we'll see. It'll be fun a week. And by the way, make sure you listen to the closing line tonight. Some of these games that people are discussing here on the chat, I'm going to get to. So
5-pack. We got a 5-pack tonight coming up.
And get them to me in the next hour. If you get me a game in the next hour on Twitter, on DM, I'll make sure it's on tonight. BMOC, nice response to my challenge. I disagreed with you, but you didn't attack me personally. That's progress.
We're breaking bread again.
Listen, Joe Marino, we clearly don't like each other, but I have nothing. I will not talk about you personally anymore. But I don't want to see you on other shows when you think I'm not there bringing me up. Just let me do my thing. You do yours. I'm moving on from it. I'm going to try Donnie in the next. And I want to say one other thing. I'm going to try in the next month to really not talk about others or not be as abrasive. But if you come on here and say something stupid like Drew did earlier, you're going to get called out because a capper that can't change his stripes ain't going to win. You got to be able to do that in this business, Donnie. So, Drew, you get the gun and you get the hell out of here. But everyone, thanks for listening. Have a great night. We'll be back at 6 o'clock, closing line at SBR.